Hi, I'm Madison Jean, and today we're spending 5 minutes with Windsor Port Authority Harbor Master Peter Berry. So on the topic of low water levels in our local waterways, can you start us off by explaining what causes these?
There are several causes to the low water. And recently, the most important cause that we had is last year we didn't get a lot of snow. We did get snow, we got a lot of rain coming through the spring, which helped us. Brought the water levels up slightly at the end of last year into the spring of 2012. And then we had a beautiful summer. As much as we all want a beautiful summer, it's painful when it comes to the Great Lakes. So we had a great deal of evaporation. And not only do we have the evaporation removing water, we also have areas of historical dredging, like the St. Clair River, where that water adjusts to the depth of that was dredged. And then now what happens is the water comes away from the shoreline. So what you might be seeing is more beach and a lot less water.
Oh yeah, has this happened before, and what's the normal water level?
We've seen this historically through the 60s. We did see this in 1963, 64 was the last hard marking of low water levels. And then back into previous to the Dust Bowl in the 1930s and 1920s. We have approached the historical lows of the 1920s. We've surpassed the lows of 1964. Each of the lakes has its own depth, has its own water levels. What we're seeing is the water levels are down historically below the historical levels of 3 to 4 inches. Having said that, that also means that it's 5-6 feet below what it normally would be that you would remember on the Great Lakes or through Detroit River.
Some people blame global warming for this. What do you think about that?
Global warming is a component, in very much so. The other components that we're looking at, of course, is water diversions that occur through Chicago and other parts of the Great Lakes. Increased water use as we now urbanize our shorelines and we come to a greater tourism level of use. We're now taking more water from the lakes as well. There is, of course, the global warming component of less ice pack, more sunlight, more evaporation, more heat. I hate to say it, but we need more snow. We need more rain. We need more bad weather. But also a thunderstorm incident where we get a heavy downpour, you think, well, that's great for the lakes. Mm-hmm. It's not, because what that does is causes the flow of the water to increase, and we actually lose more water in a thunderstorm incident.
You brought with you today the current level stats. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Right now our stats for the Great Lake levels is running about 562 feet above sea level. That 562, we should be around the 567 level, so we are significantly down within historical levels, but now we're working in inches. Now where we are, we're going to see a couple of inches come back with the rain that we've seen. With the snow we saw this year, the ice pack is still in the upper Great Lakes, so there's still ice in some of the ports in the Great Lakes despite shipping being open. So that helps, but now we're talking inches. The recovery of inches is as important because statistically we look at each inch of water means about 100,000 metric tons of cargo is left behind that we can't put onto ships because of the loss of that 1 inch.
What conditions need to be in place in order for the levels to rise?
We need several things. We need cold winters, we need long winters, we need lots of snow, we need an ice pack. The ice does help slow down the melting, doesn't stop it, but it does slow it down. We need a very slow spring so that the snow in the upper lakes such as Huron and Superior and even Michigan and the UP in Michigan, that snow and that runoff comes into the lake slowly. So the flow of the water is slow, and that way we retain more water. We need a wet summer. Unfortunately, we're all craving that sunlight, but we need a wet summer. We need a lot of rain. It's going to take a long time to recover, but we also have to look at how we manage the lakes. There are 2 flood controls, 2 gates within the lakes that we can control that water level, but we do have to look at how we manage that control in order to restore it.
So what would this mean for commercial trafficking?
The commercial traffic, there are ports in the Great Lakes that commercial traffic right now is having a very hard time to get to, if not completely prohibited getting to it. As I said, each inch makes a difference. What's happening is we're having to light load a ship anywhere from 9 to 16%. And 9 to 16% on a 70,000 metric ton ship means we're almost at 65 to 55 metric tons rather than 70. So as we leave more on land, it costs you more.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Peter. We just spent 5 minutes with Windsor Port Authority's Peter Berry.